Alright, just want to do a quick little video here. Had a friend of mine today tell me that he was planning on shorting Apple and Tesla, so I wanted to kind of break down those charts because when he told me that, I really didn't believe him at first. As thinking just based off of the recent moves that Apple and Tesla have had, it's been pretty extravagant to the upside, and they could be due for a pullback. But to enter into a short position at the moment didn't necessarily seem to be the best of moves. And the reason I say that is because I want to see some form of what Apple has done in the past when is met with a big decline after such a big run up. So, looking back here around 2013, you can see that we had a big run up, a little bit of a pullback, consolidation, and then one more run, and then it sold off. So maybe the people who missed out on this first big leg, when it pulled back, they got greedy and they decided, okay, I'm going to throw money at it now that I'm getting it a little bit cheaper. And it ran up just a little bit higher than the last high, and then it sold off a good, I think it was about 40% right in here. Yeah, about 40%. Then it consolidated and began its journey back up over multiple years. And then again, same thing. We made a new high, came back down, people bought in. We made a little bit higher than that, and then we started to fall lower, lower, lower. And in this case, we dipped about 30%. And then we've really been taken off, and we were hit with our new all-time high right in here around late 2018. And then as the market started to deteriorate at the end of 2018, we also saw this big sell-off in a lot of companies, but Apple saw this big reduction in stock price, down roughly 35%. And since we have now been just surging forward and are making new all-time highs. So we are overbought down here on the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, but again, we can be overbought for a long period of time. So I would not base it purely off the fact that we are overbought and we are likely to see a pullback. At that point, you're shooting darts blind, and that's just not something that you want to do and try and time perfectly. You want to see some sort of consolidation. You want to see maybe the market deteriorate slightly in order to have a little bit more confidence in putting a short here on Apple after just a tremendous move. People probably thought after we squeaked above the previous high around 230 that we would see a pullback. And then maybe around the 250 mark that we would see a pullback, but we just haven't yet. So to maybe short, if you had an option put, and for a shorter time period or a longer time period, you might just start, losing more and more money as either this continues to rise or we now begin to consolidate and the theta decay just kind of deteriorates your position. So you really just need to be smart with that and setting up yourself to have the best chance of making money. I think if you were to short now, tomorrow it could dip, say 5%, 10%, but I just don't think that it is the most likely of scenarios. But that is just my view. I think eventually we will see a pullback. I think that we are a little bit overambitious from these previous highs, and I think we're running on greed at this point, and eventually we will see a nice little pullback, and then we could be seeing something back from 2013 where we see a pullback and then another run and we make new highs. But at the moment, that I'm not necessarily seeing it, and in the near future I might, I would say that I'm not seeing it all that much either. But that's just my view on Apple. I'm going to go ahead and swing it on over here to Tesla. And again, we're going to look at this longer time frame because it is very important as we start to get up near these highs, these all-time highs, right in the high 300s. So I can mark a couple levels here. and that's going to be the 350 level if I can get close to it. So we'll put it right in here at $350 a share. And you can see we've had some price reactions off of this. Again, this is still the weekly chart. So you can see 2019, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, on and on and on. But you can see that we've had tops right in here around 350. And along with that, those tops were not often, but they were also met right here on the PPO with a price, or not a price, but a level around 30. So whenever we were hitting 30 and hitting some form of resistance or major price level, we were starting to sell off. So just something to note, that maybe not so much right here, but most scenarios, again, you can't go based off of one single thing. You need to really analyze and see what you've got working and what doesn't work for you. So that's one thing to pay attention to as we get close to that 30 mark here on the PPO. We're also nearing this $350 mark. But again, we could see a nice little poke through, just as we've seen down here on the PPO. We could see a poke through by, say, $10, $15. I would not be surprised. We could even make it up near our all-time highs, right around here, around 390, 380, 390. So put a line in right in there. So again, these are things that just you need to be mindful of if you are planning on shorting. Tesla had some very good news come out as far as earnings goes, and it has skyrocketed in price. Ever since this big demise throughout the beginning part of 2019, we started to gain some support down here in the low 200s, and then we popped, shooting above 300. We had one little red week, and then we have excelled through, and we are now sitting close to that $350 mark. So I would want to see what we do once we hit it. I'm sure that we will probably hit $350 within this next week or 2 weeks. So I want to see what kind of reaction we have once we hit $350 a share, how far above we poke, or how little we poke above it. And then what the reaction is once we hit that level. Is everybody's sell level right in there or right before 350, bringing the price down a significant amount? What is the reaction when we get to that point? So right now, I would still wait to see. I still want to see what is there going to be any sort of consolidation on either Apple or Tesla after such large moves to the upside? Is there going to be a pullback? What is the overall market doing? Is it becoming more volatile? What's going on in the world? So those are the kind of things I look at. Now, again, I don't want to be sitting on the sidelines for every single trade. I'm just thinking, for my risk tolerance, this would not be a trade that I would want to take on at the moment. And now, within the near term, very possible. If we start to see this poke above 350 and was starting to get a little bit shaky, the overall market volatility was starting to increase, and people were wanting to take some of their money out of volatile stocks like Tesla, then yeah, at that point, it might be good to put on a trade for a small size, and maybe if it does start to dip, add a little bit more to it, but maybe a little bit above this 350 range. But I just want to see what it does as we react to these larger levels after this massive push to the upside. So those are just my views on Apple and Tesla as far as shorting goes. I would want to wait just a little bit longer to see what occurs, if any consolidation, as we move forward. So I know this was very long-winded. Probably did not do the best of jobs explaining myself, but I hope that you guys learned something, maybe understand these charts a little bit better, or maybe you don't look at the long-term time frames and now you decide that you want to look at them. They do provide a lot of good information. A lot of people who do day trading, they're only focused on the short periods, but I do believe that the long periods of time or long time frames offer a good deal of information as well, whether you are a long-term or a short-term trader. So thank you guys for watching.